Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is a live stream in a series of our Hackathon live streams. Today, we are talking with ElevenLabs. We have Thor, who's working on developer experience over at ElevenLabs. Also, Alex, Chief of Staff at Volt. Myself on the marketing team. My name's Kate. We are at, I think, 97,000 registrations for the Hackathon. So yeah, mind blown, huge number. Keep building. You guys are crushing it. Super excited. But today we're going to be talking about ElevenLabs. If you're new here, there's a chat on the right-hand side. If you're on YouTube, I guess. I don't necessarily know where it is on the other platforms. We're mainly on YouTube. We'll be responding to all the chats. Throw your questions in there. And yeah, let's get going. We'll do our best to answer all your questions. If not, this will be recorded and it'll be on YouTube after the recording. So yeah, let's do it. Let's do this. Alex, kick us off.
Thanks, Kate. Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I don't know about you guys, but I am not a big typer. I'm really slow at typing, and but I love talking, and I'd rather listen and talk than read in many situations. And so we've got the perfect guy joining us here today to tell us how to make this a reality in our apps, Mr. Thor from the ElevenLabs team. So pleased to have you here. What is ElevenLabs? If you've been living under a rock and you haven't been following AI hype Twitter, what is this thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, some people haven't heard of it. But yeah, ElevenLabs is both a research as well as a deployment company. So that means we built, kind of AI audio is broadly sort of the category that we're in. And so the research team is really focused on building the best models, that is both for like transcribing speech. So automatic speech recognition across 99 different languages is one of our newer models, Scribe. But then also, where we come from is the speech synthesis kind of. So multilingual speech generation models. So really generating lifelike human speech. That is sort of, what we're really focused on. And yeah, if you've seen kind of, we have a teaser at the end as well of our newest multilingual 11v3 model, which is, just really incredible how expressive it is. And so, yes, broadly, AI audio, big focus on speech generation, speech transcription, but also we do sound effects. We're working on music models as well. So, if you can hear it, we're probably working on
it. That's awesome. So, for a lot of the viewers that are tuning in today, they're focused on, they might be thinking, well, I'm not in the speech game, what is this about? I'm here to like build web apps and, websites, and, maybe I'm trying to get into freelancing or running an agency, and, I'm not making movies. What do I need AI generated voices for? So, I know you have a perspective on that. Like, how do you think about voice as part of the tech stack, I guess, for lack of a better term, for modern builders?
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. Yeah, ElevenLabs really got, big kind of with the media and entertainment, world. Like a lot of the creators use this, if you've seen kind of TikTok, Instagram videos, ideally, when you don't know that it's an AI voiceover, then it's probably ElevenLabs. We work with creators like Mr. Beast, who kind of uses this to sort of clone his voice and, be able to speak Hindi, right? Which, if you don't have ElevenLabs, learning Hindi might take you quite a while. But then, there's a huge audience out there that speaks that language. And so, yeah, that is kind of traditionally where we come from. But now we're really focusing on, the developer platform. And a big part of that is kind of conversational AI. So, if you think about sort of, the last, couple of years, mobile was sort of the new user interface, right? Like that's kind of what everyone optimized for, building mobile apps, building responsive apps. But now we're, I think, kind of getting to that era where conversation or voice is sort of the new modality, the new interface. And if you think about it, like you got your Meta Ray-Ban goggles, right? You're just talking to them. And speech, we can convey information a lot faster in speech, especially if we can speak kind of our mother tongue, for example. And so that is really kind of what we're focused on, is also sort of this mission of making kind of anything available in any language and in any voice. And so I think where, like in the past, you basically focused on like, okay, I need a responsive app that is like, localized into like different languages in terms of the text. In the future, I think you'll be very much looking at, okay, how, can I give my application a voice? And I actually think that, the voice will become a very central part to like your brand. Just like there's kind of brand design. I think like having a voice, like in your app, having a recognizable voice that like people actually look forward to like talking to, just like your employees, for example, or like your CEO, right? Like your CEO, for example, has, a pretty standout personality and voice. And so, using that as part of your brand, I think we're going to be seeing that a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's really interesting to think about voice as part of the brand, and it really, particular voices, they do give an emotional kind of feel to them, where I was actually looking at some of the AI generated video stuff on Twitter over the last week. And I noticed that some of the creators that have gone really viral there, one of the things that they've tapped into is using a consistent narrator voice, potentially ElevenLabs. I couldn't tell on the short form content I was watching. Across many clips that were all like different AI video generation clips, but with the same narrator voice. And I think that these are some of the folks that are going viral are taking advantage of that. And I do think it ties into this concept as voice as part of the brand. It gives you this recognizable feel of like, oh, I've seen this before, I'm familiar with this isn't going to waste my time. The last time I had an interaction with this voice, it was worthwhile. Let me do it again. It's kind of interesting. I'm no psychology expert, but I definitely agree that there's something there. And I think that's something really interesting to think about for folks that are building applications and want to integrate voice into them. The other thing that I was thinking about and that I noticed earlier today that made me think about this. I don't know if anyone else has seen this tweet from Justine Moore, but maybe I'll just flash it up on the screen here real quick. People who, I guess for lack of a better word, the baby boomer generation is very willing to have conversations with AI. And maybe in some cases a little too willing. So this is definitely an interesting thread to go check out over here with what's going on with Meta's new AI app. There's a lot of pretty personal conversations occurring with this AI, and in I don't know that people even realize how public those conversations might be. But the thing, as I was reading through some of these conversations, it kind of reminded me that, from an accessibility perspective of applications, not everybody is an iPad kid super used to clicking through UIs to find what they need, right? A lot of people just want to have a conversation to find the information that they need. And now with something like ElevenLabs, we can all build this capability, right into our applications and make it a lot easier for someone that might not be that technical to figure out the information they need to figure out without having to navigate a UI.
Yeah, and I think, what we're seeing now with like tools like Bolt really enabling people to build like very, specialized, very specific applications for, their needs where, like I have a sports club, I need like a management app specific for like my sports club. I just go to Bolt and, I spin that up. So like kind of these hyper personalized applications. And I think we're going to see sort of the next step, these hyper personalized user interfaces where, actually depending on who is using the app, we generate kind of the user interface on the fly. I think there's like some cool folks kind of working on like frameworks for that, which is really neat. And obviously, like if Bolt is generating your app, why couldn't it generate your user interface like on the fly, depending on what the person is kind of, looking to do. So sort of someone, mentioned this recently to me, sort of the idea of like, you're like looking up on YouTube, oh, how do I do this in this app, right? That's going to be a thing of the past because you're just going to tell the app, this is what I want to do, and it's just going to do it, right? And so I think we're entering kind of a very interesting phase where, probably even the voice likely will adapt depending on kind of the person who is talking to them. Potentially depending on the language, the accent, right? Like accents is a big thing, sort of, like when you chat to someone from like your hometown and you kind of recognize the accent and it gives you kind of a certain emotion. And so, that's quite interesting where ElevenLabs is really good at capturing different accents as well. We can look at that in the voice library in a bit. So I think that's a very interesting future we're now entering into.
Absolutely. Well, I guess probably, without further delay, let's see some of these voices.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe actually before we jump into the human voices, man's best friend, right? Our four-legged best friends. And so this is one of the models we, kind of launched a couple months ago. Text to bark, right? We've done text to speech quite a lot. Now, if you think about it, if you want to unlock 900 million new users for your app, in fact, I looked this up. This is the estimated amount of dogs that there are in the world. You can use this text to bark. And so you can see, for example, here, the golden retriever, very, very nice. Everyone loves a good golden retriever. Has a German accent. And, if you have a dog at home, you can try this out with them. So this is one of the models we recently launched. Now, the unfortunate thing is we launched this a couple months back on the 1st of April, and everyone thought it was an April Fool's, which was a bit unfortunate timing there. But no, it turns out it wasn't April Fool's. It was just really well executed. So some people were like really disappointed because they were like, damn it, I really wanted to talk to my dog, and so, however, so even, when you play this to your dog, be careful. They might get offended because the context might not translate. But the actual sounds are in fact generated by ElevenLabs. So we do have models that can generate sound effects. And so you can go from text prompt to sound effect, which is really neat here. Sorry, give me 1 second. I didn't want to put the coughing sound effect in there.
That's incredible. How does the research side of the company actually go about generating these voices?
Yeah. So I mean that is a good thing. So there's a lot of data. It's a combination of kind of public data, data that we acquire that we train these models on, right? And so the quality of the models in the end really comes down to kind of the quality of the training data. And so where there's not a lot of information that we kind of give away in terms of how these models are trained. There's a couple factors to that, like the research team is very kind of separate and just producing incredible work, and a lot of it comes down to the architecture of the models, but then also obviously how they are trained. And so we now actually, with the newest models, version 3, that is kind of right now in alpha, we've gone from kind of 30 languages that we can generate speech in to now 70 plus languages, which is pretty incredible, right? There's still quite a lot of languages to go, but you can see how like generating kind of human-like speech across so many different languages in such a scale is quite the feat. And so we have both the research side and then the deployment side, and then kind of the developer experience side to sort of allow you to put that into your applications. And yeah, maybe we can. I mean, we kind of wanted to keep this to the end, but maybe we can. If you haven't seen V3, which is kind of the newest model, it is pretty incredible. And so ElevenLabs kind of big ties to sort of London, so the British...
We're off under the lights here for this semi-final clash. The stadium buzzing with anticipation. ElevenLabs united in their iconic black and white shirts, pushing forward with intent straight from the opening whistle. Driving down the wing, pace to Bernie, skips past one, skips past two. Oh, this is beautiful. One-on-one with the fullback, cuts inside. Oh, that's a lovely bit of footwork. And goal! Oh, my goodness, they've done it again!
Yeah,
I think
so
the only thing that I would have noticed there that would have maybe clued me that it wasn't a real announcer is he didn't scream the goal. We need to add like 8 more O's in there at least.
True, yeah. But yeah, so now kind of these models, you can actually direct them. You see this here, excited, shouting, and you can basically kind of give them directions of how they should act. But then also they are actually context aware. So the model actually knows kind of what's going on and sort of adapts the voice to that. And so that's pretty incredible. So like if you think about like laughing as well, right? That's a big one. So like,
hey Chris, knock knock.
I'm not doing this again.
Come on, man. Please. I promise you'll love this one.
Nope. No. Never again. The last 10 weren't funny. The next 10 won't be funny. You're not funny. And you never will be.
How many ElevenLabs engineers does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Oh my God. I'm going home.
That is wild.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time I've heard like the emotional shifts so crisp and clear in a voice model. Like, yeah, pretty impressive. I think this is really, what would be interesting is a blind taste test between, over a Zoom call. I feel like that's some content. So if our content creators out there watching, they're thinking, how can I make some content around the 11v3? I think that would be pretty interesting, because I think this is getting to a point where you might be approaching 50-50 on people's ability to guess.
Yeah, no, I think at this point, like a large amount of people would not, kind of guess that these are AI generated. And so, yeah, that's pretty incredible. We see like some really cool use cases, for that. But yeah, so that is kind of, the voice side of things, the speech side. Obviously, the other side, if we want to have our application conversational, it doesn't just need to be able to speak, it also needs to be able to understand, our speech. And so that is actually kind of where our, scribe model comes in, where this is the kind of automatic speech recognition across 99 different languages, and really incredible, accuracy. So, if you have kind of a recording, for example,
Maple Street is a mess. Time to fix it.
Totally. Some of those potholes could swallow a small car.
and so you can see here that the model can sort of detect, oh, okay, there's, different speakers. So it actually tags the different speakers, based on how many speakers it kind of identifies. And then you can see it also tags kind of word level timestamps. So you can see, as we're kind of playing this,
Or a very brave skateboarder.
We start next
the
week.
words are
Jonas?
being highlighted, right, as we kind of play along. And so, all these features of really sort of understanding, okay, there's, different speakers in the room, different dialects, accents. So I actually, obviously we're here kind of building with Bolt and with APIs. So, these models are available through our developer platform, through the APIs. And so actually one thing I did was, basically build kind of this transcription bot, which is really useful. So like, for example, my grandmother, like she would send me, voice notes, for example. And then like sometimes, you're in like a live stream, like right now. And so I can't, just go off and like listen to her voice notes. So what I can do is I can just forward the voice note to my transcription bot. And so what this does is actually it uses a Superbase Edge function. Shout out to the Superbase team that was, on the stream yesterday. And it sends that off, in the Superbase Edge function, sends it off to the ElevenLabs API. And then it automatically detects, oh, okay, this is English. And it, transcribes that and then just replies back to, to that. And, there's also kind of like we can tag audio events. So like, I was coughing earlier. So if I were to do that, it would kind of, detect that as well. Or, if we were to speak a different language, also zum Beispiel, ich komme ursprünglich aus Deutschland und wenn wir dann Deutsch sprechen, dann kann das Modell das auch verstehen. Well, struggling through my German here, which, technically is my mother tongue. But so you can see that, automatically. So I didn't in the integration kind of put in, that now I'm speaking German. It actually, so that's why it's an ASR model. It automatically detects the speech, which is really cool. But what's nice, so I'm personally right now, I'm actually I'm in Taipei right now, but like I live mostly in Singapore. And so there's kind of like, you can actually, if you want, to try this out, like it's available for free. You can kind of scan the QR code and, like play around with, see if it kind of understands your local dialect and accent, which is cool. But so, for example, if you're in Singapore, oh, wait, I wasn't sharing. Oh, no. Was I talking and I was like showing something?
Sorry, you were just sharing the ASR home screen. I didn't realize that there was that there
Okay.
should have been a visual demo.
Yes, sorry. So that's the thing. I need to, because I'm sharing the audio, I need to like tap through the screens. Okay. I realized that was not very impressive right now because I was just talking gibberish and, you didn't see what was happening. But so basically I was, in the Telegram bot and I was recording the voice notes and you can see, went off and it transcribed the voice notes. So this is kind of what I was doing. You can see it now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, basically record the voice note, it goes off, Superbase Edge function, to the Scribe API and comes back. There we go, like identifies that. And so, you know, what you can also do is like you can forward videos to this. And so, for example, if you've been to Singapore, you know, Singapore speaks a very distinct kind of English accent, which is called Singlish. It's kind of a mix of, you know, Singaporean and English, I guess.
Go to hell lah, this person. Bastard, you know. I asked for a plastic bag, you must put the thing inside the plastic bag for me, right? She never. She just put a plastic bag, throw the plastic bag on the table. Yeah, I just throw to her. Yeah, she threw the...
So, you know, if you're not used to this, you know, it might be quite difficult to understand. So I don't know if you could understand kind of what's going on here.
No, I feel like I heard it, her call him an asshole, maybe, but I couldn't really.
Bastard.
I didn't really get the context, though.
Yeah, so it was basically about like, you know, I asked you for a plastic bag, so you need to put the things inside the plastic bag for me, and then she didn't do that, and you know, so you see like Singapore, very first world problems, you know, when you're kind of at that level, I guess. But you know, another fun one is maybe like, you know, like Scotland.
There's some things I need to know about Scotland.
Well, you need to know that they're trying to split up the country and all that. We don't want that. We want a decent council and that's basically that. That is pretty poor just now.
And what about you, brother?
The same as what others said.
I didn't understand a word, but it was awesome.
So like, you know, if you need to generate captions for that, how you're going to do that, and you know, Scribe. So I mean, honestly, I don't know where like the research team got like, you know, that level of data of like, you know, Scottish dialect. But yeah, so what do we need to know about Scotland? They are trying to split up the country and all that, and we don't want that. We want a decent council and all, and that's basically that. You know, that is just wild that like the model kind of understands these very specific accents really well. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool. You can, yeah, I have this, yeah, as a Telegram bot. I have it as a line bot as well. And now if you check my Twitter, you can actually see I've just played around with the WhatsApp bot also. And the WhatsApp bot can also reply back with speech, with voice notes, which is really cool. So yeah, that is, you know, kind of some of the stuff that you can, you know, build with, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty incredible. I'm sold. I think I now have the same question that a lot of folks have, which is awesome. I want to do this. How this has got to be really hard, right? I mean, there's audio, there's AI models running. I mean, how could I possibly integrate this into my Bolt app? Please, Thor, please tell me there's a way to make this happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great thing, right? Like Bolt kind of, you know, on our end, we focus on building sort of the SDKs and the documentation and the example apps. And the great thing is that, you know, Bolt is kind of there and like ingests all that, you know, understands all that, knows kind of how the APIs work. And so, yes, my brain is blasting with ideas right now. That's fantastic. That's exactly where we're doing this here. You know, there's still a couple of weeks left in this competition, and you know, we have a voice challenge specifically as well. So that's really cool. But yeah, so the great thing is, you know, with Bolt, you can actually achieve kind of a lot of this by just prompting, by text. You know, if you say kind of, you know, transcribe speech for me with ElevenLabs Scribe, you know, Bolt will go off and will kind of find the relevant API and do that for you. And then, yeah, one thing that you kind of need to look out for a little bit is sort of the API keys. So sometimes it'll ask you to kind of put the API key in, and it sort of exposes that on the client side, which you know, is not good, because like that is a secret API key. So if you're kind of handling the API key, the secret API key, one great thing you can do is you can use a Supabase Edge function, for example, to handle that API key for you. So here you know can kind of have all these things play together. But yeah, to a good part, you know, Bolt sort of just, you know, you have that idea. Ideally, you know, we've given you the inspiration. Bolt is giving you the shovel, and at the end comes out your idea, your $1 million idea. Yeah, so that's how we can do it.
So for, I guess let's break this into two pieces for because there's sort of the transcription piece that we've been talking about here, and then there's the AI voice piece. So so for the transcription piece, if you're basically wanting to capture voice and turn it into text inside your app, first step would be what? You're going to need to go to ElevenLabs.com and generate an API key.
Yeah, exactly. I think actually when you put in like integrate ElevenLabs for me in Bolt, like Bolt will actually tell you and link you out to ElevenLabs and like, you know, tell you to create an API key. Now, if you just need transcription, if you just need kind of speech generation, you can use these APIs directly. But if you actually want to build kind of this conversational experience, we actually kind of put all of that together into what we call conversational AI. And so basically all these different pieces that we just talked about, you know, the speech to text transcription, the text to speech, we kind of put that together into a platform for you, you know, and you can choose kind of the which large language model you want to use in the middle. So we integrate with, you know, Gemini, Claude, GPT, kind of all the main large language models. And then you can prompt, sort of the system prompt is kind of what you can use to sort of give your, you know, agent, so this is kind of a conversational AI agent, give it sort of a personality. So you would encode that in kind of the system prompt. For example, if you have like an, you know, support agent, you would give them sort of a, you know, personality there, you know, helpful, answering questions. If you maybe have like a sales agent, you would put in kind of a sales script of, you know, like certain things they should ask for and like certain information they should collect. And so that is kind of what you do in the LLM. So the LLM is sort of the brain for your agent. And then, you know, you can, you know, what's really cool is you can configure this with speech in kind of different languages. So like, for example, you know, maybe we can look at the voice library. Let me see here. Let me switch to this tab. So this is, you know, once you've signed up your ElevenLabs account, you'll see kind of the app here. And so you can, you know, all the voices that are available on the platform, you can use kind of for your application, which is really cool. And we have, you know, more than 5,000 different voices in here. So, you know, if you were kind of listening to this stream and you were like, oh, you know, this voice of this like German dude sounds pretty cool, what you can do is like you can put in German engineer and you will find me. Success is doing what you are born to do and doing it well. So that sounds like me when I'm, you know, not sick and not coughing. So the great thing is I cloned my voice, you know, and I published it on the library. So you can use this voice, and anytime you use this voice, I get money. I get paid. So we actually built this as a marketplace for, you know, voice actors to kind of be part of this AI journey as well. And so you can clone your voice, you can publish it on the marketplace, and we actually recently surpassed kind of $5 million paid out to you know, voice actors on our voice library, which is a really cool milestone there.
That's awesome. I'm seeing in the chat, maybe if we could back up one step. So for people who are in the hackathon, after you register, within about 48 hours, you'll get emailed your AI build, your hackathon build pack. And one of the things that you get in there is a discount coupon code for ElevenLabs. And I believe that there are a couple people that are facing some issues. And I think that there's a bit of a tip and a trick that you can share on how folks can get their account up and running here.
Yeah, so I think one thing that we kind of had a faux pas with the first batch of coupons, and we're ironing this out with the next batch we're creating now, is that because there is kind of a default coupon that is you know, assigned to the monthly plan, you couldn't put in the code in the dashboard. So ideally, what we should send out is basically this URL. So like, if you go kind of sign up, and then you put coupon equals, and you put your coupon code that was sent to you within the builder pack. So, you know, whatever that was, and put that in there.
I can see your URL bar. Are you?
Oh, yes. That makes sense. So, okay, how we're going to show this? Let me see. Okay, maybe I can.
You could maybe do it in the search box right there, just to demonstrate the URL, and we
so
can drop
like,
it.
for example, here. Yes. Okay. Can you see that?
No, I'm seeing the voice
Oh,
library.
wait. Okay. Can you see this now?
Yes.
There we go. Okay, we're going to generate a sound effect for this. We'll see. It's probably going to be crying because it's so difficult. No. So basically, you can put in coupon equals, and then you put in your coupon code that was sent to you with the builders pack. And you know, we're generating the next batch of coupons now. So if you're now signing up, you know, after this live stream, you'll get the new batch, hopefully, which will just give you the URL, and you just need to click on it. But basically, this is how we then assign the right coupon to your account. And maybe we can generate the sound effect for this, see what happens. But yes, so if you were struggling with that, this is the way to kind of get your coupon code. If you don't have a link in the builders pack, get that applied to your account.
Can you drop that into the our live stream chat, and then I will
that's a good one.
Kate can share that with the people, so they can just copy paste that exact syntax. Obviously, your coupon code will probably not be WJHDGCKB, unless, you know, Thor just got really, really lucky on guessing one there, which could be.
Maybe. This is the lifelong 100% off.
Yeah. So,
would be nice. Okay, what does it sound like?
Not bad, actually. I kind of like that as a, like, your account has been created.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's actually nice. Yeah, maybe you can also incorporate sound effects into your app. Yeah, I think that's a big part of, you know, motion design when you're like opening Netflix, start of a movie, what have you. Yeah, but yeah, sorry about that. That was a bit of a mix-up on our end. So hopefully that will get you unblocked and building.
I guess the lifelong code is Thor from Asgard, Pratik says.
Maybe.
Awesome. So then, in order to use that workaround, do they sign up first and then put that URL in the browser, or do they like, I guess you would create your ElevenLabs account, then you would put that URL in the browser?
Yeah, you can do it either way. It should also work if you don't have an account yet. But yeah, so like, as long as you've created a new account for this build competition, and then you navigate to this URL with your coupon, you'll be able to redeem it. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so then next step, now I'm logged in, I've redeemed my coupon, I've found my voice, whether that's Thor or someone else. What's kind of the next step in this process to sort of get that voice ready to import into my application?
Yeah. So, for you, the nice thing is, well, if you're familiar with like MCP servers and stuff, we have one of those as well. So you could actually put the MCP server. I'm not sure if you can import it in Bolt just yet, but like if you have Claude Desktop, you could, for example, like put it in there and like instruct it to do things on your ElevenLabs account. But you can also use the trusty old dashboard, right? Which actually I think we have somewhere in the dashboard. We have a conversational agent as well. I just can't find it now. Where is it? Okay, maybe I'm on a different account. I thought we had it in there. But so you can go to Conv.ai agents, and then what you can do is you can click new agent, and you can kind of get started with like a template here. So you can see, for example, support agent, or mindfulness coach, for example, who so Bolt, maybe we call it Mindful Bolt, and then we can create the agent, and we can actually configure a lot of the agent kind of right here within the dashboard, and then what we can do is we can use this agent ID, and we can then go into Bolt, and we can say, Bolt, please integrate ElevenLabs Conversational AI with this agent ID. And so the agent ID itself is not secret, so that one you can incorporate into your client application. And then here, you can configure, okay, the first message here, sort of what you want to use. And so here you can see sort of the system prompt, that we designed. So we're giving it sort of kind of some personality instructions, kind of the environment, sort of the tone, specific, because it's a mindfulness coach, right? We want kind of gentle pauses in there. And so we're instructing it as well, like the way we can kind of achieve pauses is kind of using ellipses. And so we're basically kind of utilizing the LLM here to really, kind of instruct our voice to be sort of as expressive as possible. And then we can use kind of, we can choose kind of the LLMs that we want to use. A lot of them are sort of pre-integrated here. And, a lot of things that you can configure as well. So for tools, so for example, there is a language detection tool. So as I mentioned, we can automatically detect kind of different languages and switch them. So for example, we just need to enable the language detection tool, and then we can enable kind of different languages, right? So yeah, for example, I mentioned I'm my mother tongue is German. Although nowadays, actually, the AI speaks better German than me, which is quite funny. And then what we can do is we can test our agent right here in the dashboard. So we can maybe call him up.
Hey there. Thanks for taking this moment for yourself. Let's begin by introducing ourselves. I'm Joe. What's your name?
Ja, hallo Joe, aber ich bin Thorsten, aber können wir auch Deutsch sprechen?
Ah, hallo Thorsten. Freut mich, dich kennenzulernen. Natürlich können wir uns auf Deutsch unterhalten. Wie fühlst du dich gerade und was möchtest du heute erreichen?
Okay, maybe German isn't that relaxing.
That's such a smooth transition, though. I like where it's like, oh, because that's kind of what
English
you really
versuchen.
do, right? If you're like speaking one language and then someone switches language, it's like, oh, okay, sprechen Sie Deutsch, and then the conversation continues. So that's pretty incredible to see.
Yeah, so a lot of the kind of system tools, so this language detection system tool actually has two ways. So either, if like someone doesn't speak English, obviously then they would reply back in, their mother tongue. And then conversational AI would automatically, recognize, oh, actually they're speaking German. Maybe, I should switch to German. And so that's exactly it. So once you kind of tested the agent and sort of you got the configuration right, the way you want it, you would then go to Bolt and you would say, oh, please add this ElevenLabs conversational AI agent to my application, and give it that agent ID, and then it can integrate that into your app using the ElevenLabs APIs. That's exactly right.
And then there was another question here of this actual visual here. Are the visual components that are being used to make this page available anywhere in public, or should the builders create their own?
Oh, so the specific orb, maybe?
Yeah.
So people can actually embed that. So if you go to the settings, so there is a widget, and there's some embed code actually. And so you could copy that code and you can give that to Bolt to basically say, hey, embed, it's basically this widget here. Embed that into my application, put it maybe at the bottom right of the screen to, start talking to my application. You can exactly do that. One thing that's actually new as well is that in the widget, you can allow for text input. So you can mix, because certain things, one thing that's like always a challenge when like the conversational agent asks for, like, oh, what's your email address? And then you're like, oh, Torsten.chef at, it's like, whoa, okay. How do you spell that, right? And so some things, it might be easier to actually give it some text input. And so the widget actually implements the text input as well. So yeah, that could be a good choice for your application, to use that pre-built widget, and just give that to Bolt to place it into your application.
That's awesome. Another question here from Philip around creating conversational content. Not actually sure if Philip, if you're asking about customizing the kind of the personality of the agent like we just talked about. But that absolutely is possible with that system prompt. And I wanted to ask a follow-up question there. Certainly, if you're talking about just recording the audio output, I'm sure you could do that as well, of course. But oh, sorry, I just understood the question. I think what Philip means is the back and forth. Can we have two agents like go back, or two voices go back and forth with each other?
Yeah. So kind of like a dialogue, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you would just have to find two different voices. And then you can basically instruct Bolt to like, have a UI where you have like different voices. So you can see that, for example, in our dashboard, right? If you use the new V3 model, you can actually add a speaker in there that is kind of a different person. And then, add that to my voices. Okay. And so now you can basically have like a dialogue, right? Between like, hey, Jane, how are you? Hey, Liam, I'm good, right? And then it was basically use the different voices. And so, you can build.
Hey, Jane, how are you?
Hey, Liam, I'm good.
Yeah. So I think that is probably what he's asking for. So this is something that is kind of natively built into V3, where you can actually go dialogue with many different voices. Now, V3 is still an alpha at the moment, so we don't have public API access for that yet. But you can get a similar result with the V2 models as well. you would just explicitly need to build into kind of that it switches the voices and then generates kind of the speech for the different. But I think you can try like prompt Bolt. Yeah. To sort of, yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I'm thinking about where that might be relevant in an app. And I'm imagining like potentially like a social media app with different communities where because we were talking about kind of the brand, having a voice that's associated with your brand. Well, if I'm imagining like, let's say a Reddit, right? You could have like a subreddit voice if you're building an app like that with different communities, where within a different community, there was a particular voice that kind of maybe represented like the moderators and had like the rules for that community and that kind of thing. And you could have a different voice for like Reddit global, that's talking about the like Reddit global rules that are, so I'm imagining you click a button in the app that's like, explain to me the rules. And like one guy hops in and he's like, well, here's kind of the, global Reddit rules, no attacking people, no illegal content. And then like a lady jumps in, and then in our particular sub community, here's what we focus on. And that could be kind of a cool dynamic to communicate like some actual differentiation. Like thinking about it from an accessibility perspective is interesting. This is the first time I'm really like getting into this, thinking about how do you make a voice part of the accessibility and like localization or globalization of your app. But very interesting. Going back to,
do we want to do a word from our sponsors real quick?
Oh yeah, okay, that's a good idea. Thank you. So we interrupt these messages to bring you a word from the Hackathon Gold sponsors. So there's very important support coming from our 4 gold sponsors that are making this all possible and allowing us to get together today. So if you're not familiar with these 4 companies, then I guess you haven't been joining the previous live streams, in which case I think that you need to go sign up to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe and hit the notification bell, and go to the live tab, and you can see all of the upcoming educational live streams right there. But okay, we've already talked about one of these folks today, Supabase, right? You want to integrate with ElevenLabs. You don't want to expose your secret API key to the world so that everyone can run up the bill on your account, which we'll talk about in a moment, how that aspect works. And there we go. We got the Supabase merch on the stream. So you're going to want to use Supabase Edge functions to store all of your secure API keys. If you don't know what an Edge function is and you're like, I don't know, this is overwhelming, go watch the live stream yesterday. It's on our YouTube channel. Had the Supabase team on, and we very clearly and simply explained how everything works in normal, non-nerd language. So you don't need to panic. You just head over there and we'll walk you through the process. If you actually want to make some money with your application after you've built it, that's where RevenueCat comes in. They're the largest payment collector for mobile apps in the world. So definitely want to check out their services and stay tuned for a live stream with them on how you can actually charge your users money, which is always a cool thing. Once you've got your app built, you're probably going to want to deploy it to the internet. If you hit that little deploy button in the upper right-hand corner of Bolt, that's where Netlify comes in, puts your site live out there on the internet so users can theoretically find it. And that kind of takes us to the last gold sponsor, Entry, which is if you really want to make it easy for your users to find your application, a great domain name is extremely important. We chose the domain name bolt.new because the .new lets you know that you're going to be able to create a new Bolt project when you visit that URL. So, you could think about similar creative ideas for your application and get your free domain name from Entry for all Hackathon participants in that builder pack that you'll receive within about 48 hours after signing up for the hackathon. So thank you to our gold sponsors for making this possible and making this $1 million prize pool possible for all of you. So much love. Awesome. So the thing I wanted to go back to on the agent, the creation piece of this is there was that system prompt field, and I think that's really, really important. I also saw retrieval augmented generation on that screen, if I call correctly. How would, I guess, do you have a sense of how much information can go into the agent system prompt? And then for the less technical people that maybe aren't familiar with RAG, can you talk through what that enables?
Yeah, that's a good point. So let me see. Am I sharing the right screen? Yes, hopefully I am. So we can look at the agent here that we just created, our mindful bot. So yeah, I mean, in the templates, you get some idea of kind of like the best practices for the system prompts. But then you can also go to the docs. So if I share this tab, so if you just go to elevenlabs.io/docs, and then there's this conversational AI tab, and there is tons of documentation, but there's two that are really relevant here. That's our best practices, and specifically for prompting, and then the conversational voice design. So the prompting guide is really, really good, really kind of extensive in terms of like, how do I give my agent kind of a specific personality, right? A mindfulness coach, we don't want them to scream at us. That would kind of go against sort of the goal. So, how do we kind of encode that personality, environment, tone, goal, and then guardrails as well, right? Like, if you're building this as a support agent, you do want to put some guardrails in to make sure, people aren't just using this to like ask about the weather, like, yeah. So, kind of between the goal and the guardrails, you can really kind of steer the agent in the right way. So yeah, I definitely recommend you look at kind of that documentation. And then also the conversational voice design guide has some really, really good tips in terms of like what voices are really good. So for example, we have Jessica Ann Bogart. Her voice is on the platform that you can use. Her voice is incredibly good. She's a fantastic voice actor. And, also the voice settings you can kind of look at that, work best for conversational AI, and you can kind of tweak that a bit. Yeah. And then in terms of RAG, interesting one. So if you basically have like, a large knowledge base that you want the agent to know about, right? Like if you're building this for, some company, and you want the agent to know kind of all the ins and outs of this company and all the information about the company out there. If you feed in a large corpus of knowledge base, then the response times can get slow, because we're loading the entire knowledge base into the context of the LLM. And so what we can do with RAG is kind of this retrieval augmented generation. So rather than loading in kind of the entire knowledge base into the context, we're basically finding, okay, what is the pieces of the knowledge base that are relevant for this specific question. And then we only retrieve that. And so with that, we can speed up, if we have a large knowledge base, we can speed up kind of response times quite significantly, which, am I showing the wrong tab again? Come on. Yes. Sorry. You should interrupt me when this happens, and I just go off. There we are. So this is the knowledge base documentation here. And so you can just enable RAG if you have a big knowledge base. Sorry about that. It's
awesome.
Yeah, it's coming up to 1 a.m. on my end. I'm like, where are the buttons?
Yeah, you're doing an incredible job. I don't think it's not easy hopping on a live stream in the middle of the night. That is awesome. So I know that this is going to be really helpful to a lot of people. If you've got if you want the bot to be able to just answer some basic questions, you probably won't need this. But if you've got a more complicated product, this could be extremely useful. Really taking it from something that can be like fun and cool, where it has a personality and a voice, and it can answer some basic questions, to someone that could really serve as like a deep, knowledgeable expert on a whole database of text content that you put together. So very, very awesome. Super excited to see what people build with this. I think one of the last things that we need to go over is people are going to build with this. They're going to be there's a little bit of a challenge, I believe, that that these folks are eligible for in the hackathon. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about the the AI voice challenge? And I believe you're going to be judging that category as well, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe some tips and tricks for the folks looking to win.
Yeah, that is a very good point. Yeah, so if you go to the dev post page, you can see kind of all the details about the voice challenge. Probably if I manage to, so hackathon.dev, register, and then I think we're landing. Yes, this is dev post. That's very good. There we go. I can still navigate. Come on. Okay, thank you. I was like so proud that I was like able to navigate, and then okay, you can see it now, right? Yes. Okay, so and here you can see we have the voice AI challenge, and the challenge is, you know, roughly use ElevenLabs to make your bold.new app conversational. And you know, conversational means kind of using conversational AI to actually, you know, be able to like converse with your application. And, you know, in terms of tips, you know, one good tip is like, if you use this German engineer voice, you know, that is probably a good way to bribe your way into my heart. No, joking. Obviously, you should follow the best practices and use not my voice, but, you know, the voices in the best practices. So if those, you know, sound good, then that is obviously plus points. Another thing that can be really, really helpful is just tools. So you can give your agent certain tools, you know, for example, to, you know, navigate pages in your website. So there's different tools, there's client tools, there's server tools. And so the tools are really just a way to allow your agent to perform certain actions. So for example, you could give it a tool that's pretty fun actually, to like change the background of your app. And so that would be kind of a client tool. So you could ask Bolt, okay, give the conversational AI agent a tool to change, you know, the background color of my application. And then using your voice, you could, you know, kind of do that. You could say like, oh, you know, change light mode, dark mode, kind of, you know, conversationally, for example. So like some fun kind of interactive things like that. So I think those go a long way. And yeah, that is pretty much the challenge. And you know, be creative. Maybe different voices, languages. Have a play and kind of see what works for your app. And I'm excited to see kind of what y'all come up with.
Should be exciting. What is up for grabs to the winner?
I believe there. That's a good question, actually. Is it? Should be in there. No.
Probably listed somewhere. Yes.
There we go. One espresso machine. No.
Espresso
25K in cash and one espresso monitor. There you go.
There we go.
I think that's something to talk about.
Pretty awesome. Let's see. I'm going to drop this in the chat too. Okay, let's wrap up here with a little bit of Q&A. So one question I saw in the chat was costs. How does if you're building ElevenLabs into your app and exposing it to your users, how should you think about the billing model?
Oh, the billing for like your customers?
No, for you as the owner of the
Oh,
app.
fair enough. Yeah, I was thinking actually now you probably should use revenue cash to make a lot of money, and then you can pay us that money when you use the voices. No. So yes, there's a pricing. So currently the pricing is kind of based on different tiers. So with a certain tier comes kind of a certain amount of free credits that you can use per month. And then, once you kind of exceed those credits, you're basically being charged on kind of a usage basis. And you can see sort of the usage here, depending on kind of what product you're using. Yeah, so it is a bit of a math exercise. Maybe you can ask Bolt actually to like, oh yeah, maybe someone can build like a pricing calculator with Bolt for like, okay, if we talk a bit longer now, how much will it cost?
Awesome. But in that tier, is that what's the? Can you scroll up again? It looks like
yes. So
for
everyone
the
has this creator tier
Yeah.
within the pack. So we got 100K credits per month. And also they do roll over. So I actually saw someone in the chat, which was pretty cool. They were like, they had this question in the chat, and then they basically just went and they chatted to the chatbot here.
Hey there, I'm Al. What brings you to ElevenLabs today? First time here or looking for something specific?
If the credits on the creator tier, do they roll over to the next month?
That's a great question. Unfortunately, the credits on the creator tier do not roll over to the next month.
Wait,
do you
that's
have
not
any
true.
other questions? My apologies. You are absolutely correct. I misspoke. The credits do roll over for the creator tier. I am still under development and
Okay. Obviously at 1 a.m. something needs to go wrong. So it's funny because someone was in the chat actually mentioned they asked the bot and they told them, the correct answer. So okay, we need
It
to
looks
see.
like included with this plan, you get 250 minutes of conversation with the AI to start with. So I think what is that? That's
Correct.
a few hours. So that's that'll get you started, and then goes from there. Let's see. Oh yes, that's the that's the comment in question. I think we already addressed this question, which is kind of looking for at least one of the things you mentioned was tool use. I think that's really, really cool, right? Where the bot's actually doing things. Yeah, I guess any other guidance you have for people there on sort of just ways of thinking about what might be interesting that they may have not considered.
Yeah, I think that is exactly what I'm looking for. Like, what is, interesting that I personally haven't considered. So like, yeah, if you surprise me, obviously there's also always kind of ways that we expect people to use the product. But then, it's just really cool to see what creative ways people come up with. Yeah, I think be creative, do some cool stuff, make it sound cool, make it look cool. That could help.
Awesome. We have an aspiring voice actor in the live chat. Curious about how you add your voice to the library.
Yeah. So if you're on the creator tier, you can see here, you get a professional voice clone included. So what this means is the professional voice clone, you record your voice, and then we fine tune the model for your voice specifically, which really gives kind of a good close clone of your voice. And then what you can do is once you have that, let me see. Okay, this is what I'm sharing. So when you go to the app, You can then, when you have your voice, so here, you have your voice clone. So like in My Voices, you would then see your voice clones. I have a lot, as you can see. But so yeah, here, for example, this is my
True success is doing what you are born to
yes,
do.
thank you. And then you can share the voice, and you can publish it to the voice library. So you can see here, there's an option there. And then you can, manage your voice library. You can view your metrics. Yeah. So it's rather straightforward, and the payouts are handled through Stripe. So yeah, basically, as long as you're in a country where Stripe can facilitate payouts, we can facilitate payouts for you.
Awesome. Last question coming in from Hikmet. Do we need to worry about scale, or once we implement this, is it going to work at scale immediately?
Yeah, it does scale. I think the only consideration is just in terms of the pricing tier you're on. It has different limits and timeouts. So yeah, thousands of people calling at the same time, you will likely hit some limits, especially on the creator tier. But you just need to win the challenge, and then you get some cash in the bank to like up the limits.
I would say, yeah, if you've got thousands of people using your app, that's a great problem to have. Kind of like the problem that we've been experiencing over here at Bolt On News. So there are solutions for that for sure. Awesome. And that is a wrap on Q&A. I just had a couple nice comments that came in that I wanted to highlight before we wrap up here. Patrick's talking about how he's actually already done a lot of the stuff that we are talking about here. So Patrick, if you're in the subreddit, if you're in the Discord, maybe you make a little post showing what you did. And I'm sure folks would have some questions for you and would appreciate the help and guidance. And
awesome.
Then we got a nice comment from Sherlock. I don't know if it's the original Sherlock Holmes or not. Seeming a little sus based on the profile picture. I think it might be someone else, but I'm no detective. So nonetheless, appreciate the nice comment. And I totally agree, because we are bringing on the sponsors that are walking us through how all of the tech works, and every single one of the sponsor has some amazing piece of technology that you can integrate with your project to really create something. This is not like something you're just seeing around on every app, right? Like, you're now creating something that probably like most of the people in your life have never seen in any app before, right? And it's so cool that we're able to learn how to do this cutting edge stuff straight from the people that are making it possible. So super awesome to have you here, Thor. Excited to see the submissions that come into this category, and appreciate you showing up in the middle of the night, your time, to make this happen for all the viewers.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, this hackathon is incredible, and like, all the sponsors and like all the tech that's involved it's just such a good gang and community. Yeah, awesome. Thank you everyone for being here and building.
Awesome. Thank you, Thor. Go get some sleep. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.